All right, class. How was your test? What do you think? Easy? Not easy. Why? The questions that wasn't easy. But most of you finished on time. I feel like. Is there anything you feel like we did not cover in the class? So I have not finished grading it. So hopefully grading will be done by Tuesday. So on Tuesday, we'll go over the test and then we'll go over the topics of Tuesday. Make sense? Now let's start chapter 6. So far, we talked about present value, future value based on one cash flow, right? So basically talked about maybe we are getting one cash flow today, we are talking about the future value of the cash flow for the future. Or we're talking about we got one cash flow in the future, what should the present value today, right? But for this chapter, we're going to extend the timeline and we're going to extend the number of cash flows. Overall, the basic fundamentals, basic theory, the basic mechanism is still the same. And now we're going to talk about multiple cash flows. And we'll see how to calculate the present value or future value if we get more than one cash flows. Make sense? So let's talk about this problem. You will be depositing $4,000 at the end of each of the next 3 years. And your rate of return is 8%. You currently have $7,000 in the account. How much you will have in 3 years and how much you'll have in 4 years. Your first job is to identify the cash flows in the timeline. If we summarize the information, can you tell me the cash flows at different periods you're thinking of? So right now, what do we have? $7,000, right? It should be zero. That's our investments right now. You will be able to deposit $4,000. End of each of the next 3 years, right? And these are the 4 cash flows you have, right? Now, if you think about future value, this cash flow, if we think about future value at year 3, okay? This cash flow can be compounded for or can be grown for 3 years. This can grow for 2 years. This can grow for 1 year. This will not grow, right? Because we're stopping here, right? So, easy way to understand, draw the timeline. Put the cash flows exactly in what year you're investing or receiving. Investing should be negative, receiving should be positive. And then think about what is our terminal point. Are we going 3 years ahead? Are we going 3 years back? Or what we're actually doing? Make sense? You can use the basic formula, which is this one. For each of these cash flows, and find the future value here, or you can do a function calculator, find the future value here. Overall mechanics stays the same. You have to consider each of these cash flows individually. Now, if we look here, what we are trying to say, our cash flow today can go for 3 years, right? Cash flow end of year 1 can go for 2 years. Cash flow end of year 2 can go for 1 year. And cash flow end of year 3 cannot go, right? Same value. What we're doing, we're finding the future value of each cash flow, sum them up, that should be the future value in the year 3. Make sense? Now, if you want to do in the financial calculator, let's say you feel like so many calculations, how can you do it quick? Think about each of these cash flow as a one-time cash flow. One time. For this one, N should be 3, I over Y should be 8, present value should be minus 7,000, payment should be 0, calculate future value. Make sense? So this formula in financial calculator will give you this value. Same thing, but N2, N1, don't do anything for that. Make sense? You'll find the future value. So what if you want to find the value at end of year 4? This will go for 4 years, 3 year, 2 year, 1 year. That's the fundamentals. Questions? Make sense? So far, we already calculated the value for 3 years. We can just go for 1 year, future value year 4. Complicated? Easy? Now, another problem to make things easy for you. Want to invest $500 today, that means on the timeline, it is on 0, right? And $600 in 1 year, that means on timeline, it is on 1. Fund pays 9% annually. How much will you have in 2 years? It can go for 2 years. It can go for 1 year. Make sense? So I strongly recommend very basic examples, but go over it when you're at home. Because going forward from now, we are moving on to complex time value of money problems. And we'll need more of financial calculator than rely on formula. Because if you want to rely on formula, it can take a lot of time. Extension, how much you have in 5 years. If you don't make further deposits, on that case, this will grow 5 years, this will grow 4 years. On the financial calculator, for each of these cash flows, 500 and 600, just play with the N, rate should be same, present value of the changes, calculate the future value, and then sum them up. Sum them up. Question so far? Same thing, go over when you're at home. Let's talk about this one. So you're offered an investment that will pay you. So it's gonna pay you $200 in 1 year, $400 next year, 600, 800, and you can earn 12%, which is the rate of return. What should be the present value? So can you guys calculate it at your own? So you're offered an investment. $200 here, 600 here. Let's say 200 1 year, 400 the next year, 600. Okay, I miss this. 400 here, 600 here, 800 here. What is the most you should pay for this one? Because you have to make an investment today, and that investment will generate these cash flows in 4 years, right? And the investment will generate 12% rate of return. That means how much you should invest today. It means what is the present value today. Can you guys calculate it of your own? Because my calculator. So you have to find out the present value of these 4 cash flows, right? Today. So that is the year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. Done. How much you got? And which of the methodology you used? Formula, calculator, or what? Okay, so you find present value of 4 different cash flows. Okay. You got it? Okay. Done. How much you got? And how did you do that? 4 different cash flows. We all got 1432.93. So this is the detailed way how you should do it. Each of these cash flows is done by 1, 2, 3, 4. But on the exam, it's gonna cost you 10 minutes for this problem only, right? If you want to do following the formula. But you can do 4 cash flows, calculate the present value, sum them up. There is another way, another tricky way, you can do it in 1 minute. You wanna learn this? How can solve this problem in 1 minute? Let's see where we're at. We are here, right? So on the financial calculator, so one of the caution, whenever you're using financial calculator, make sure clear the past input. So if you are using this area only, do second clear, okay? But there's another way you can calculate time value of money, which is going on the cash flow and input manual. For this example, what is our cash flow at day 0? 0. Input 0, enter. What is our cash flow end of year 1 or time 1? 200, right? We are receiving, so positive. Now, FO1 means frequency of cash flow 1. So how many times we will get this cash flow? How many times? One, right? So frequency of 1 should be 1. So it's already there. We can move on. Cash flow 2 is 400. Frequency 1. Frequency of cash flow 2 is 1. Cash flow 3 is 600. Frequency of cash flow 3 is 1. Cash flow 4 is 800. 1, right? Now let's do compute NPV. So what is NPV? When you say NPV, that means net present value. Net present value. In our investment process, sometimes we invest money, sometimes we receive money, right? Net NPV is basically netting out all of your investments and receipts, plus and minus. Make sense? All of your investments and receipts. So if we input all of our cash flows, hit NPV, and then it's asking for the rate, right? What is the rate of return for this project? So 12, enter, scroll down, complete. If you go to the cash flow, input the cash flow manually 1 by 1, compute NPV, it will ask for the rate of return, scroll down, complete. Just gonna save a lot of time. We don't need to calculate the present value of each of these four. This is a good functions when you have different amount of cash flows, multiple cash flows, because they are not same, right? Makes sense? Anyone lost in the process need to see again how we did it. We good? Now, after you're done, your job is to go to cash flow again and clear. Okay? So that for the next problem, you don't make any error. Now, here is the process, what we really did. We work on the timeline. This is the specific time where we're receiving the cash flow, right? Now, what is our terminal point today? We are discounting back all those future cash flows today. The present value of this cash flow, 178, 318, 427, 508. We are discounting all those cash flow today, sum them up. That is the present value of the investments. If we want to make the investments, be careful. If we want to make the investments, we should pay this much. If we pay more than this much, this doesn't worth making money, right? We are buying investments more than it worth. If we are allowed to pay less than this much, then it's good for us. But that is the fair value of these investments. Questions? Now, just for practice, you guys do this on the new technique we just learned in the function calculator. Okay? Same thing. I just want you to do this on the new technique we just learned. On the test day, it's gonna be if you can learn that technique. If you're struggling, feel free to ask me. So is it working, calculator? So cash flow 0 should be 0, right? This should be cash flow 1, frequency 1. Cash flow 2, frequency 1. Cash flow 3, frequency 1, right? And then compute NPV, it will ask for the rate. Hit the rate, scroll down, compute again, you should get this much, right? You all good on this? Now you solve the problem and give me the decisions. If you're a partner consultant, what should be the recommendation for this problem? Yes. I didn't. That's okay. Easy way. Draw the timeline. Think about the cash flows. Into the particular way. None. What is the decision?
I wouldn't,
You will take it one.
because we will earn less than the last.
How less you want. You know? Really? Anyone disagree? Disagree?
Yeah, you should take it because you need a 50% return on your investment, so you need to make $115. Your 40% financial for $115. So you're making $115. 50% of $115.
Okay, 50%. Okay. So we invest today, if you invest today, you're saying you should earn 15% of.
You will at the end of 2 years, you will have earned $115, which is the amount needed to return on your investment.
But,
It's assumed to be annually available.
right, so that's still required. That's still required annually. It's required, but are you really earning it? Are you really earning it? That's the question, right? So the thing is that so that's a really good point you bring it up. So let me explain. When you say required rate of return, that means I want this. If I want to invest something and putting money there, end of the year, I want that much. But are you really earning it? Are you really earning it or not depends on what is the cash flows you're generating in future. Make sense? That means you have to discount these cash flows by 15%. And you have to think about what is the net present value today. If this is positive, that means you are earning more than 15%. If it is zero, that means you're earning only 15%, sharp 15%. If it is negative, you are not earning 15%. When you say we require 50%, we have to discount these two cash flows by 15%. Find the present value today and compare with the investments. Make sense? So on the calculator, your cash flow 0 should be minus 100, right? Cash flow 1 should be 40, frequency 1. Cash flow 2 should be 60, frequency 1. Then compute NPV, and I believe your NPV should be something around this much. 8.5, right? I'm sorry. 75. Thank you. So NPV should be something negative 8.5. That's what you got. So that means if you discount these two cash flows by 15%, it doesn't owe $100 today. It owes less than $100 today. And you are not earning 50%. Make sense? What if your NPV is 0? That means if you discount these two cash flows by 15%, that owed $100 today. So you're actually earning 50%. What if your NPV is greater than 0? You're discounting these two cash flows by 50%, that owed more than $100. That means you're earning more than 50%. Make sense? From the very first class, what is the objective of corporate managers? Maximize shareholders value. And I also added one point. How can they maximize shareholders value? They can maximize shareholders value by taking positive NPV projects, right? Here in town. Now we come to learn what is a positive NPV projects. If you have an investment today that's going to generate some cash flow in futures, and if you discount by all those cash flows by your required rate of return that you want, that doesn't mean you will be able to generate that you want. We're going to talk in a couple of classes going forward. What is a required rate of return? What does it mean? But right now, just remember required rate of return means you want that. If you discount cash flows by the required rate of return, NPV is greater than zero, take that project. If not, forgo that project. Make sense? If you rather take this project right now, which is generating NPV of negative 8.5, what is the problem? If you're managing money for someone else and you are taking projects NPV negative, what is the problem?
You're losing one.
What is the name of that problem in finance? Agency problem, right? So never take negative NPV projects. Make sense? Now let's do this and let me know what is your findings. Done. How much you got? 90,000. Okay. Billion? Yeah. Okay. Someone else agree, disagree. Done. How much you got? 90,000. You two agree, disagree, and one.
I got something else.
How much?
I got 79,305, but that's because I discounted the 25,000.
Okay.
Yeah, something somewhat close.
How much goes? 1,300, okay. Easy way, draw the timeline. First, the very easy way. Any month, very different results. That's good, like if you're getting different results, different thinking. That's good. Yes, Alice.
568.
900 to 90,000, okay. Sitting pretty close, but getting far different, right? Okay. That's fine, anyone could be correct, you got something. I know. Okay. Let's draw the time. One thing I can teach you, if you trust me. I studied time value of money for my undergrad, for my master's, for my CFA. But the only institution, CFA, that teach me, if you want to time value of money, draw the time. And that ensures 100% success. No one else ensures 100% success. You don't do just get the problem, write a restart. It will not ensure 100%. So you are offered the opportunity to put some money away for retirement. You will receive 5 annual payments, $25,000 each, right? Beginning in 40 years. How much would you be willing to invest today? That means present value. We need to find out present value, right? That's today. We'll receive 25,000, 25,000, 25K, 1, 2, 3, 25K. Let's do 25K here, okay? But who wants to tell me what should be the timeline, the number of years starting from? Yes, you can say 41. Is it 41? In 40 years, right? You will get starting money in 40 years. Anyone else disagree? You'll start getting money in 40 years. Make sense? Now, if you calculate it, the present value of each of these cash flows, present value, at 12%, how much you should get? Huh?
22,000.
Really? 5 of these.
Oh, I thought.
So if you, so let me repeat. You are getting the money in 40 years, 41 years, 42 years, 43 years, 44 years. 5 times 25,000 each. Make sense? If you calculate the present value, this one, N should be 40, I over Y is 12, future value 25K, and payment is 0, calculate present value. Keep doing for all of this. Sum them up, or the new technique we learned. The new technique we learned. Right? How much you got?
Got 904.
And let's do together. It should be 0, right? How much cash flow 1 should be? For how many years? Or 39? 39, right? Because you're receiving the first cash flow, you have 40, right? Let's do 25, okay? Just do 25. Then you can multiply with 1000. How many times you're receiving? 5 times. Go down. Compute NPV. 12% is the rate of return. Enter. Go down. So basically 1,800, like 108, 1.7. And so those I input 25, right? So you have to do 1.0847 times 1,001. Makes sense? Cash flow 0 is 0. Cash flow 1 is 0 for 39 years. Cash flow 2, 25,000 or 25, you can write then multiply 1,000 later. 25 for 5 years. Compute NPV, discount rate 12%, and then you're getting it. Making sense? Easy job. Draw the timeline and decide what is your ultimate point, today or in the future. If it's today, that means present value. In the future means future value. Make sense? Now 90,000, 1,900. So the challenge, the most important challenge is here. Make sure you understand the timeline. Put the values, you should be good. Here it is. The same timeline you drew. Question so far? If not, we are moving on to a little more complex one. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free. So for this problem, this is very easy. I appreciate do it with your friends. If you're working with your friends, getting same results, you're in the right directions. If not, check it with me. Make sense? Let's do it with your friends. Okay. So far, what we did is starting from chapter 5. We talked about present value, future value of one cash flow. And then today we moved on present value, future value of multiple cash flow, but different amount, right? Different amount at different period of time. Now we're moving on multiple cash flow, which is series of cash flow. However, equal amount, same amount, and also regular interval. That's a very important thing. When you say equal amount of cash flow at regular interval or at equal interval, that means if we receive cash flow yearly, it will keep receiving cash flow yearly for a certain period. If you're receiving cash flow monthly, you will keep receiving cash flow monthly for a certain period. Those kinds of cash flows are known as annuity. Annuities are two types: ordinary and due. If the first payment occurs end of the period, that is called ordinary annuity. If the first payment occurs beginning of the period. That is called annuity D. Now let me explain. Let's say you want to make an investment and you are going to receive $500 for next 3 years. That's it. If nothing is mentioned after that, you will receive $1, $2, $3. $500, $500, $500. Okay. End of year 1, end of year 2, end of year 3. What kind of entity is? Ordinary, right? But if I say you will receive the annuity beginning of the period, same 3 amount, same 3 cash flows, same thing, but beginning. Beginning of year 1 means today, right? Beginning of year 2 means end of year 1. Beginning of year 3 means end of year 2. So one of the things you always make a mistake. When we say annuity due, which is beginning, you guys feel like you'll receive 1 less cash flows. No. The only difference due versus ordinary is the timing. We are just moving it a little forward. Same amount of cash flow, same number of cash flows, but moving it a little forward. And what is the difference? If we think about future value, calculating future value, if you compare, this can grow for 2 years, this can grow for 1 year, this will grow nothing, right? Here 0. But here, this can grow for 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, right? If you also think about the present value, not future value, you have to discount this one by 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. Present value, discount nothing, it's today, 1 year, 2 year. Only difference is timing, and as a result, you will get different present and future values if it's ordinary versus due. Makes sense? But don't get confused. Number of cash flows, amount of cash flows, same the same. Exactly the same. We're just moving little forward. Makes sense? What is an annuity? What is an ordinary annuity? What is an annuity due? One major thing or major characteristics of annuity is you will only get those cash flows for a certain number of years. Let's say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. But if you get it forever, equal amount of cash flows at equal intervals forever, perpetuity. Let's say if you want to invest today and you want to get equal amount of cash flow, equal intervals forever, perpetuity. Make sense? In general, perpetuities are basically end of the period. In general. Make sense? In general, they're end of the questions. Annuity perpetuity. If you want to calculate present value perpetuity, this is the formula. Can we calculate the future value of perpetuity? Why not? Absolutely. We cannot calculate the future value of perpetuity because we really don't know where it ends, right? But if you want to calculate the present value of perpetuity, this is the formula. We're going to explain what does it mean. If you want to calculate present value of annuities, basically those are For ordinary, this is the formula. This is the future value of annuities. That is the formula. Now it's up to you on the test day if you want to spend a lot of time to use the formula or you want to spend on financial calculator. Because if you know financial calculator, if you can identify the inputs, 30 seconds, right? 30 seconds to 1 minute, right? It's your choice how to solve those problems. Okay. Now we have to be careful. We have to be careful. The C means cash flows. Amount of cash flows, amount. The C means on the financial calculator, so far we inputted 0 for PMT, right? 0 for PMT or payment, right? On the financial calculator, the C means PMT, payment. Make sense? In theory, the C means the cash flows. In financial calculator, it means PMT. This R is the discount rate, right? Liquid rate of return, right? On the financial calculator, I over Y, right? This T is number of periods. We have to be careful. Why? Let's say, so far we assumed rate is annual, compounding annually, right? But if we say 12% annual rate, 12% annual rate, compounding monthly for 5 years. So far, what we did, we input 12 for rate of return and 5 for N, right? So far, because we assumed annual rate compounded annually. Now we added extra terms and conditions. When we say this, our R should be 12 divided by 4. Our N should be 5 times 4. Make sense? Appropriate interest rate, depending on the compounding. Number of periods is not 5 anymore, because we'll be getting 60 compounding, right? Each month for 5 years. There are 12 months in the year and there are 5 years. Make sense? Looks scary, complex. It's not. If you can identify the inputs and input in the final, it's not. Even I can't remember this formulas, to be honest. I don't know what does it mean. What you need to know, how to input in the function calculator. Because I think I learned it 13, 14 years ago. Don't know what does it mean. Let's do this. Do you need the formula? Use function calculator. Let's do this. So Should be done, right? Who wants to volunteer? Again, 466. Agree, disagree. Agree. Just giving you some heads up. Monthly payment, right? Interest rate and T is already represented in months, okay? In the exam, it could be one of the other. It could say monthly payments, but annual rate for 5 years. Then you have to convert to rate in months, and you have to convert to period by multiple vector, right? But you can also see that this depends, okay? But make sure ready for both. Now from that, how much N you want to input? How much N? What should be the value of N? Huh?
No, sorry, it should be 40.
4? Why?
It's 48 by 1, so I'm putting in the years.
So basically, if it's here, you have to think about the payment frequency. It's monthly payment or annual payment? Huh? Monthly payments. It's already represented 48 months. If I say 4 years, then 4 times 12. It's already given. So what should be the value of N? 48. Okay, how much is that?
I think it's 0.3, almost.
Okay, let's see.
Is that right? Does anyone else? All right, there we go.
Okay, what should be your I over Y? 1, right? It's already converted to month, right? How much you can borrow? So present value should be our variable of interest, right? What should be the future value? Yeah. Okay, good. Payment. Plus or minus? Okay. How much you got? $23,999 something, right? Close to 24,000. Let's do that. So basically, don't get confused. Just think this is dollar, okay? Different name for dollar. No. What is that? 7.4. How much?
5,144,150.
5 million, I was 7 million. Okay. Someone else,
I'll take the difference.
Huh?
I'll take the difference in my bank account.
okay, then ask from him, if you want to hear the difference from us. Anyone? With some different numbers. How much you got there, son?
I got both of those, so.
You got both of those?
Yes.
Which one you want to support for? Let's say you want to provide one answer.
I'll go with 5 million.
It's a little tricky. Let's do it together. It's trying to tell you, you own, let's say, $10 million, okay? Prize money, a lottery, right? It's saying you got $10 million, but it's gonna pay you this much for each year for next 30 years. It doesn't matter what they're telling you, it matters what they are paying you, right? Discount rate 5%. Now tell me the inputs, what should be the end? Ready? Discount rate? Present value. That's all looking for, right? Payment, that number, right? Is basically future value. Future value. 0. The 10 million is a just a like an eye catcher. It's not you're getting it, right? Now you tell me which one you prefer, 5 million, 7 million. 5, something 5.12 million should be, right? They're trying to tell you it's a $10 million of lottery, but they are not paying you $10 million odds, right? They'll be paying something like that. Rather, if they say you it's a 10 million odds of lottery, and they will pay you $10 million today, what is the present value? What is the present value? Yeah. 10 million, right? But it's not worth 10 million. Questions? All good? So that's all for today. See you all on Tuesday. When you go home, feel free to practice all of this in your calculator, okay? If you struggle, feel free to reach out to me.